Welcome. My name is Brett Griffin, and thank you for viewing my Do-It-Yourself Control4 programming training series, Tips and Tricks for Effective Control4 Programming. This issue is about email programming. Suggested uses would be temperature monitoring, wanting to know when freezing conditions are happening, temperatures in the attics are getting too high, water sensor monitoring. Maybe you have a flood sensor underneath a sink and the water is overflowing and you want to be emailed immediately when that happens. Garage door openings. This is something I do in my house. That way if I know if a neighbor stopped by to borrow a tool, or I get an email on my phone knowing that the garage door has been opened. Security alarm and events. Similar. Basically I could send an email based on the alarm being armed or disarmed. Events like a door opening or closing. Which would bring us into the next suggestion would be when children arrive home after school, we could base it off of the door lock being disarmed or armed with a particular key code or just any key code. So we can do a lot of events on this. Basically, what we're going to be using is an agent. It's called email notification. We must set up the email agent to define the email that's to be sent. And in the advanced tips and tricks, we can talk about conditional triggers, maybe sending to multiple addresses, and send to pagers. Next step is to open up Composer. So you need to open up Composer, get connected to your system, and this is your typical layout that you'll see once you're connected to your system. This is actually my home system. Some of the things that I like to do is kind of getting cleaned up before doing much work is I like to minimize the list of equipment, so you can right-click on any of the spaces over here and do collapse rooms, and that gets everything down to a nice clean layout where all you see is the rooms. Other things I like to do, just how I like to work, is I'll truncate this down just so I see the little icons down here. Otherwise, you can leave them open. First thing we need to do is create an agent, and we need to do an email notification. As you can see, I already have a few, but we're going to add a new one. We're going to do one based off of, we'll base it off of the temperature on the thermostat dropping below a certain set point. So we're going to call this thermostat. We'll create it. Then we're going to send it to an email. So create the subject line, temperature is low, and the house temp is low. If you wanted to get creative, you could also add a little more programming. We can click on add variable, and we would come down, we'd find the thermostat in our house, which is in the main floor. Click on thermostat, and we can go down to see temperature. And this would basically put in a variable, so we'd want to add it so it makes a little more sense. So house temp is. So now this will, when the email gets sent, the Control4 system will actually send this email, but prior to it, it will replace this text here with the actual temperature off the thermostat. And we'll click on save. Email template's been saved. And now we need to get a program. And under programming, again, we'll right click, collapse rooms for simplicity, go to main level, find the thermostat. We can say temperature has changed. And then at this point, we would need to create a trigger. And so it's going to be whenever the house temperature changes. Obviously, we would do it every single time, but now we want to do a, if the condition is the temperature is equal to or less than 50 degrees. So you can either double click on the question mark, you could drag it over and drop it, but I did that. And if the temperature is below or less than or equal to 50 degrees, then the next step we want to do is send the email. So we'll collapse these again, come down, we go to email notification, we go down and we say we want thermostat, and We can simply just drag it over. Now if you notice, if I double click it, this is not accurate. This will basically, every time the house temperature changes, you'll get this email notification. We need to drag this green arrow on top of the question mark. That's nesting it so that this condition has to be true prior to this email notification being sent. So this would be a very simple basic programming. However, we need to deal with some problems that are somewhat unique to thermostats. The thermostat will, every time it's at 50 degrees, it's going to send you an email at 50 degrees, send you an email at 49 degrees, send you an email again at 48 degrees. So there's a couple ways you would want to do this, but the simple route would be to add a variable. So we'd have to come back to Agents, click on Variables. We create a new variable that's email for temp. So we got email for temp. I'm going to do it as a true or false, and go back to programming. Basically, the concern is I don't want to get 50 emails in an hour that the temperature is below 50 degrees, but I want to get at least one email. So what I'm going to do is create work with that variable that I just created, and I'm going to set the temperature to true, or the variable to true. So the first time, actually, let me redo that. I'm going to set it to false after I send the email. And then I want to go and do a conditional if it's true. And then I need to nest that. So now if that variable is true and the temperature is below 50 degrees, it'll send me the email notification. And now I'm going to tell it to turn that variable to false. This way I only get one email notification. So the next question that you should ask is, how do I know when the temperature sensor will go to true? So this would kind of bring us to a scheduler. In my programming, I only want to be notified once a day. And so I'm going to go to scheduler. I already have a scheduler for, it really doesn't matter when, but it's basically midnight. And I'm going to, for that email, the temp commands and set it to true. So to recap, what we've done is we created an event based on the thermostat temperature, that the temperature has changed over here. You could also do any other triggers, but we're doing the temperature has changed. The variable is true, so I have not been received an email today. The temperature is below 50 degrees in the house, and if it is, it's going to send me an email notification to me at Brett Griffin, where the subject is temp is low, and I'm going to set the variable to false, so I only get one email a day. So this will reset every day. I'll get one email as long as the temperature is below 50 degrees inside the house. You might ask, how could I add a second email to go to my wife or my contractor? A couple ways. You could go back and kind of do this all again and create a new email notification under Agents. For the thermostats, you could basically copy all this. However, there's actually an easier way. When you're in programming, we can come over to that email notification, find out the thermostat, and we can actually just change it to someone@gmail.com. And then now if you notice this email notification to someone with the subject as temp is low, and I'll send the same thing. And I can go over here, drag it in here. Now I've got it sending to both myself and to someone@gmail.com. Finally, the prerequisites. To use email notification, your system must be registered on my.control4.com, and you must have a 4-site subscription. 4-site subscriptions are $99 a year. You must contact your dealer to purchase these and have them assigned to your account. If you do not have a dealer, you may contact me, and I would be happy to help you out. Lastly, thank you for watching my Do-It-Yourself Control4 programming training series. And if you need more information or professional assistance, feel free to visit my website at brettgriffin.com. Thanks for your time.